and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show YouTube channel. The best way to support the show on this YouTube channel is to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and or share it with a friend. I hope that you guys enjoy this episode in whichever way you choose to support the show. I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. I hope that today's message and episode brings some bit of positive change to your life. Hello everyone and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show. I'm your host, Emily Hayden, and for today's episode, I'm going to share with you guys 10 of the Evolve with Emily show highlights. So 10 pieces of advice, 10 lessons that I've learned, 10 things from the Evolve with Emily show that I want to share with you guys, which actually aligns fully with the very first 10 episodes of the show. So if any of these sound helpful to you and you want to go more into depth on any one of these topics, just go to the number that aligns with the point that I'm sharing with you. Go to that episode and you'll find the full episode on it. I figured it might be cool to just kind of do a highlight podcast and bring some of these lessons and these things that I've learned into one episode all together in a quick and short format. Now, before we dive into those, there are two things that I believe are possibly affecting quite a few of you out there that are really simple and easy solutions to help you live a better, healthier life, a more optimal life. And I wanted to share those things with you. The very first thing is water intake. Guys, we all know that we should drink enough water, but do you know how many people are walking around out there dehydrated? Even mild dehydration can affect you mentally and physically, both. If you are decreasing your water intake or not consuming enough water on a regular basis, then it can actually lead to altered body temperature control, reduced motivation, increased fatigue. It can actually make exercise feel harder, both physically and mentally. So maybe you're in the gym and you're working out and you're like, why do things feel so difficult today? Have you gotten enough water in, not just today, but yesterday as well? Because your solution could be really simple. Your solution may not be some complex thing that you need to go and figure out. You may need to just drink more water. It could be as simple as that. Also, proper water intake significantly affects your energy levels and your brain function. So even mild dehydration can impair your mood, your memory, and your brain performance. So you think that your bad mood is because of hormones or other things. It actually could be water related. It could be because you're not getting enough water. And your brain performance, so like at work, you feel like you can't focus. You feel like your mind is scattered all over the place, or you feel like you're losing focus. You're just tired. You don't have that sharpness in your eye. It could be because you're not getting enough water. You think you just have bad digestion, you may be dehydrated. So guys, get your water in. I don't need to harp it into you anymore. It's just so important, and I don't think people really realize the effect that it can have on you, because when you are hydrated, you have good brain and memory function. You're able to perform really well in the gym. You're able to mentally perform all day. So it's really important, guys, to make sure to get your water in. My suggestions for you, if you guys are watching the YouTube video, then you see this half-gallon jug that I have. Just carry a big thing of water with you. It could be a half-gallon jug, it could be a whole gallon jug, or just a big water bottle, just something to where you can really measure your water accurately and know how much water you're having throughout the day. So grab yourself a gallon jug or a half gallon or a big bottle and always carry that with you. My second suggestion is make your water taste good. If you struggle to drink water, make it taste good by adding some sort of water flavoring. I really like to use BCAAs because I get really delicious flavors, and then I just chug water all day long and it's delicious. So check those out if you would like to add those to your water and make drinking your water more enjoyable. And then my third tip for you guys is just to always kind of check in with yourself throughout the day. So I would say to drink water before each meal. If you do that, especially if you're in a dieting phase, it really helps you to really stay satiated and fuller longer instead of always feeling super hungry right after your meal. So I know you're hungry, I know you're looking forward to the next meal, but instead choose to drink your water first, at least like 8 ounces or so, and then have your meal. And then after your meal, have a little bit more water and see how you feel. It'll help with that satiety. It'll help you stay satiated. That's a new word. So, and then also I would say the check-in. So morning, midday, and evening. Now, one thing with the water is sometimes people will will focus on getting their water in, but they kind of suck at it throughout the day. And then they're trying to get all this water in at the end of the night, and they wonder why their sleep sucks because they're up peeing throughout the night. So the last tip is just to make sure that you get your water in before, a few hours before you want to go to bedtime. If you notice you're up peeing throughout the night, you're just drinking your water too late. So finish your water before that. So bottom line is even mild dehydration can affect you mentally, physically, in the gym, at work, with your mood, with your significant others and your family. So do everybody a favor and drink your water. The second thing is sleep. Guys, I cannot tell you how many conversations I've been having around sleep recently. And this is kind of like what made me want to talk about these two things, is just the natural conversations I've been having with friends and clients and people at the gym and at Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. They're all complaining of sleep issues. And I'm like, okay, guys, we have to focus on this and get our good sleep because it just affects you in so many ways. If you do not get good quality sleep, you can experience a weakened immune system, which we all want to strengthen our immune systems right now. So anything that is weakening your immune system, you really got to focus on and take care of. You can experience mood changes and memory issues. So it really affects your brain function and cognitive function. You can really have trouble thinking and concentrating. Think about it. Think about when you have a really bad night's sleep and you wake up and you feel groggy and you just feel unclear and unfocused. You can't focus at work. You can't focus at the task at hand. Everything feels so much harder. You are more easily discouraged because you lack that energy. If you do not get good quality sleep, you can also experience weight gain. So the chemicals that signal to your brain that you're actually full, normally they will get off balance due to lack of sleep. And you are more likely to overindulge when you have actually had enough to eat, simply because those chemicals that signal to your brain, those are off because of your lack of sleep. So a lot of people who experience really poor sleep issues, they actually have a lot of fat gain as well, or an inability to lose weight or to have fat loss. Something else that you can experience is low sex drive. Often there's a drop in testosterone. The last one is excessive sleepiness, frequent yawning, and irritability and daytime fatigue. These are all things that you can experience when you lack sleep. And guys, there's so much more than just these things, but these are the things that I personally have experienced, that I've seen my clients and friends experience. And if this is happening, then you got to focus on it and say, okay, what can I start to change in my life, in my routine, maybe in the supplements that I'm taking, in order to get good quality sleep? Guys, you operating with good quality sleep is a completely different you. People who I talk to, who they're just used to getting bad sleep these days, they act like, oh yeah, it's just me, I just don't really sleep. And I'm like, hey, that's cool, but you realize that you were operating as a 40% version of yourself. Yeah, you may be getting your workouts in and showing up to training and showing up to your job, but the version of you that gets really good, deep, and restful sleep is a completely different version. So if you're okay with operating at 40%, then okay. But if you're not, and most people are not, most people know that they don't feel good, then I would really encourage you to make some changes. So my suggestions for you guys, number one, good sleep hygiene. So I think having a really good hygiene routine at the end of the night is really important. I always shower before I go to bed so that I'm nice and clean. Also, some sort of face, routine or skincare routine I find really helps. And also, more than the good hygiene, just getting into a nighttime routine, when you start to get into the habit of it, it starts to tell your brain, hey, they're about to go to bed. So everything needs to start to relax. And this won't happen right away. It won't happen as soon as you implement the routine. It will take some consistency and some time of you making it a habit. But when you start to do this same thing often, and it always leads to you shutting down and going to sleep, your body's actually really smart. It'll get on board with that and say, okay, we know what's coming. We know that they're about to get in bed in a dark, cold room and try to go to sleep. So good sleep hygiene, dark, cold room is the best. And then the second thing is no screens. So try to limit your screen usage to 2 hours before bedtime. Turn off all screens. If you can avoid artificial light, that is the best. I like to do a little bit of reading at night because I'm already pretty tired. And even if I am pretty interested in the book, usually it just starts to make me more present in the moment and helps me to turn off from the really fast-paced day that I just had. Now, the third thing that I would say is to implement your own daily practice of stillness and presence before bed. This could look very different for everybody, but it could be something like a nightly guided meditation. I love using just on YouTube, I just search a guided meditation. I typically go to the YouTube channel called Great Meditation, and there's tons of meditations on there for the morning, for at nighttime. And I like doing that because it really helps me, again, to just turn off from the world and tune in to myself and to practice that stillness and that presence. Another thing you could do is practice some breath work. Now, breath work, the term breath work can seem really daunting to people when they think that it's like this whole thing. And guys, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to overcomplicate this or overthink it. It could be something as simple as, okay, my breathwork routine every night is I get really still, really centered, really focused. Maybe you have one hand on your heart, one hand on your core, and you could do 3 sets of 10 long, deep breaths. So you're just sitting there, you do 10 long, deep breaths, and you take a little break, you take a moment, you sit, deeper into it, you try to be even more still, and then do 2 more sets for a total of 3. Again, that's just a random suggestion that I made. You can do it however it is that you want to do it. Now, when I do something like this, I like to have calming music in the background. There is another YouTube channel. I like using YouTube for things. There's another YouTube channel called Inner Lotus Music. So search that, Inner Lotus Music. And I love having that on in the background when I'm practicing stillness. I'll even do it while I'm reading. Sometimes I'll do it while I'm cleaning, and it even calms the boys down. That music channel is full of really good high frequency types of music. So it's high frequency of love, of presence, of healing. And I'll tell you what, I really notice a difference when I have that on in the background or when I have it on when I'm trying to wind down from the day. So I highly recommend that. And then the fourth suggestion that I wanted to make when it comes to your sleep is CBN Nighttime Oil. So this is a product by Cured, which is a new partnership with Evolve with Emily show. And I'm really excited to bring this product to you. I have it here if you guys are watching the YouTube video. It's right here in this droplet. So I wanted to share with you guys, what this is and then how it's been helping me. So the CBN Nighttime Oil is the most potent sleep product on the market. This product contains 30 milligrams of CBD and 5 milligrams of the minor cannabinoid CBN. CBN is known to have even stronger sleep support properties than CBD. Think calming for CBD and more of a sedating effect for CBN. So I started using this, and I remember after the very first time that I used it, I realized that I was getting consistent sleep. I didn't even have issues per se with sleeping. I was always laying in my bed, my eyes would close, and I'd wake up in the morning. And the biggest difference for me was I got a deep, restful sleep. And I'm talking deep. Like, I was like, where did I just go? And I woke up in the morning and I felt refreshed with zero grogginess. And I just felt so much better. So for me, it wasn't even like I had this sleep issue. I was sleeping. I just didn't realize that my sleep that I was currently getting wasn't very deep. And I was able to have the experience of like what a deep, restful sleep felt like, because then the next day I just felt incredible. Like, I didn't even need caffeine. Like, I felt so good with my training. And you guys know I get up at like 5:15 in the morning and I do my jiu-jitsu and then my Muay Thai, and I felt so good. And I was like, wow, it's crazy, because I wouldn't have even said I have a sleep problem, but this really helped me realize just the deep, restful sleep that I actually was missing. So it's pretty simple. It comes in this droplet, as you guys see on the YouTube video, and all you do is shake the bottle like this, and then you will take out the droplet, and I'm not going to take some because it's middle of the day right now, but I'll show you guys on the YouTube video. So you just fill up the dropper full, and then what you'll do is you'll squeeze this out underneath your tongue, and you leave it there for about 20 to 30 seconds or 30 to 60 seconds actually for this one. And then after that, you just swallow, and it takes effect within about 20 to 30 minutes. And if you guys would like to try this, right now, Cured is offering an exclusive offer to you guys. So you can actually grab this for 20% off right now by visiting curednutrition.com/Emily Hayden and using coupon code Emily Hayden at checkout. That's CURED nutrition.com/Emily Hayden to save 20%. And again, coupon code Emily Hayden. All the information is also in the description box below. One thing I want to mention is that people, when they have sleep issues, they try usually to use melatonin, but melatonin is something that you actually can get addicted to. And it's something that is usually overdosed and often makes people groggy. So, I really stray away from the melatonin and I look for something like this CBD, CBN mixture, which I have just found has been really, really impactful. And it's a 3-to-1 mixture for CBD to CBN ratio. If you guys are interested, definitely check out the description box as I have more information there. But regardless, I hope that from listening to this, you guys can really identify where your sleep is currently at and identify some tangible things that you can start to do to improve your sleep. And again, often I find what helps the most is everything that you do leading up to your sleep. And don't be that person that doesn't sleep and then just overdoses on caffeine to get through the day. I've been there. I know that we've all been there at a certain point, but guys, I'm telling you what, if you want to live an optimal life, and that is what I'm all about here on the Evolve with Emily show and just in my life in general, I want to live an optimal life in every single way. You are not living an optimal life if you are not getting your water in and if you are not getting your sleep in. And they are two things that are so simple. It almost feels like you don't need to say it. Yet I know there are so many people listening that are like, I feel a little convicted by this right now. So I encourage you, and I hope that something in that helps you to decide what you need to take action on today. Now, let's dive into this episode. So I want to start with the very first episode that was on the Evolve with Emily show, and it was called 3 Things That You Need to Do to Take Action Now. And in this episode, I shared with you guys that it was the very first episode I was ever recording, and it really came down to me taking my finger and pressing the record button and just going and just taking that messy action. And I think the key point that I want to share with you guys today is that in order to get to where you want to go, you have got to literally execute. That's it. And in that episode, I should go deeper into it and I give you 3 different things. But today I just want you to know you've got to get out of your head. You've got to get out of planning, out of strategy, out of creating charts and creating the perfect plan and realigning and redoing. And you've literally just got to do it. You've got to get that first video out. You've got to put that first website up. You've got to create your first product. It's never going to be perfect. So you literally just have to do it. If you will decide in your head, okay, I'm just going to muster up the courage and actually do it today, you will be one step closer to that product that you're so proud of. I think about that version of me that started the show, and I actually re-listened to a little part of it today. And man, the audio is pretty terrible, at least compared to now. But it was, everyone goes back and listens to it and they gain so much value out of it. So what if I had said, oh, I don't have the perfect intro. I don't have the perfect audio. I'm just not going to record. I honestly, guys, I would not have started that podcast for another 2 years. And at that point, would I have even started it? I don't know. So my one piece of advice I want to share with you guys today from that episode is to take messy action. Let it be messy. Let it suck. Let it not be perfect. Just execute. Now, the second thing I want to share from episode 2, this was about daily habits to instill excellence and to build confidence. Now, I wanted to share this because recently I asked on the Evolve with Emily podcast Instagram page, I asked you guys to give me suggestions of what you want to hear on the show. What kinds of topics, what kinds of guests, any questions, just any feedback that you guys had. And you guys gave a lot of feedback, but I actually have an episode for every single thing that you guys asked. So I ended up linking that exact episode in the Instagram stories so that you guys could quickly, just get it right away. So with that, I want to say, if you guys ever have suggestions, please message the Evolve with Emily podcast Instagram page. It's at Evolve with Emily podcast. But with that, one of the questions was actually saying how this person is consistent in their daily habits, yet they're not getting the confidence that they need out of it. They're like, it's really my daily habits just aren't really doing it for me. And my suggestion to them and my first thought was that your daily habits have now become a natural part of your routine. And maybe at one point in your life, these habits of excellence, maybe they were challenging for that season of your life. But maybe you're at a different season of your life where that's just normal and it's actually not challenging and you're not actually overcoming anything in your life on a daily basis. That to me would make perfect sense why you're not building the next level of confidence. Think about it. Think about when you first started your diet, your nutrition, your training program. It was such an accomplishment, and it was such an experience of overcoming hard things in order for you to finish your entire workout, in order for you to hit your macros on the daily, right? And maybe after years of doing this, getting your training in and hitting your macros is literally like nothing to you, right? So those same daily habits for that first season, they aren't going to produce the confidence and that feeling of excellence and that feeling of making progress. They aren't going to produce that same thing when you're in season 7, right? So to speak. So my suggestion for you is that you need to implement something daily that is a challenge, something daily that you feel like, I don't want to do this. There's no way that I can do this. And there's no one that would know if I skipped it. That's the thing that you need to start implementing daily. And I guarantee you, if you will choose to execute on that on a daily basis, you will build confidence. One way that I'm currently doing that is actually through cold water therapy. Cold water therapy can be done any sort of way. I have a plunge and I love my plunge, but you can also use a cold shower. You can use any cold body of water that's next to you. And doing that for me, I actually thought that I was getting into that for the physical benefits. I'm doing jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, bodybuilding, and cardio and just crazy things right now. And I love it. And I thought I was getting that because my body would physically need it. And now that I do it, I realize I don't even do it for the physical benefits. Like, yes, those are great, but I'm totally doing it for the mental benefits. The mental benefits have been so incredible from it. And one of the biggest things, guys, is the simple fact that it's so uncomfortable. I don't really want to do it. I'm never like, yes, I can't wait to get in this cold water. I actually don't ever do it for that. I do it for how I feel after. And I know that how I feel after is like, wow, I'm so proud of myself because I really didn't want to do that. I'm so proud of myself because I really wanted to skip that. So for me, what I'm doing in this current season of my life is I'm building that confidence by overcoming something that is really challenging that I did not want to do. So I encourage you, I shared a lot of daily habits to instill excellence in that episode, which is episode number 2. But I encourage you guys to just choose one thing that is really difficult that you're going to have to overcome on a daily basis and choose to make that a daily habit of yours. You will feel like you were practicing excellence and you will build confidence. Episode 3. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water and I'm not going to edit it out. So if you have water near you, grab your nearest water and chug with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That's great. All right, number 3, self-love techniques to ditch negative self-talk. So go listen to this full episode if you want it in depth. But I think the number one thing that I want to share with you guys here is recognizing when you have self-talk. So I want to focus on the self-awareness piece of this. So the self-awareness piece means that you're going throughout your day and all of a sudden you see a photo of you, you see a video of you, you look in the mirror, or you judge your performance on some work that you did or your performance at the gym, and your immediate talk is something negative. Whether it's you look horrible, or wow, look at that fat, or wow, look at how much more you have to go. And I could go deeper into that. We all know that some of our own self-talk is the most negative thing and comment that we could get from anyone else. And that's horrible. So the number one thing I want to share with you guys is become aware when that's happening in your life. When you hear that, don't just listen to it and continue the conversation. I want you guys to imagine that when that happens, that you just answered a phone call. And right now you have the phone up to your ear and you're listening to somebody tell you these things. They're saying you're fat, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you suck at that, you'll never be good at that. And then I want you to literally take the phone away from your ear and press the end button and press end. And here's the thing, guys, I'm really big about, maybe it sounds cheesy and I'm sure it looks cheesy. I don't like do this in public in front of people, but this is just what goes on in my mind, right? And I literally imagine myself like taking the phone away from my ear and I press end. And I'm like, you will not speak to me that way. Like, that is not something that is building me up. It's not something that is encouraging me to take the action that I need to take. It's actually pushing me down into shame and belittlement and this negative view of myself that I don't want to have. I don't want to have this negative view of myself. So I encourage you to become aware, to do something really tangible, to bring yourself into presence. Because guys, and I mention this because the biggest challenge that I see people have is that they just continue to listen to these thoughts. They continue the conversation. They never stop and get present and get out of their head. So I encourage you, in order to practice more self-love, to become really aware to when this is happening. Do something tangible, like hang up the phone and don't listen to those negative self-talk things. And then I'll actually replace it with something positive. So let's say that you were judging yourself in the gym and you're like, wow, you suck because you couldn't do that weight, right? Okay, if that's your natural knee-jerk reaction, that's not good. And right now we need to change that to the positive. So hang up the phone and then say, hey, I am really proud of you. I'm really proud of you for showing up for yourself. I'm really proud of you for getting to the gym. I'm really proud of you for attempting this. And then you can also practically say, after you've done that and you've really reaffirmed some positive things to yourself, be practical about it. Do you suck at deadlift? Would you like to be better? Okay. Enlist help with somebody who you know can help you with that. Guys, if anyone came up to me in the gym and was like, hey, I suck at this. Do you have any tips for being better at it? How could I improve? I would love to help them with that. So I encourage you, whether it's just asking a friend or asking somebody you see at the gym, or maybe it's enlisting a trainer or getting a coach, whatever it is, be practical and get the tools that you need to help yourself to feel more confident, if that means improving your performance. Maybe it comes down to the way that you look and body image. Guys, body image is a huge thing. I myself have struggled a lot with this, and that's why I can speak on it. If you recognize that you're really struggling with your body image, you don't have to like fake love yourself. You don't have to just fake accept yourself. I think there's a difference in you saying like, okay, I love who I am. However, I'm being truthful. This is not my best. I'm not happy with it. I don't love looking like this. I think you can be truthful while being self-loving, right? I think there's this like self-love movement that's saying you have to like just genuinely embrace and be like, okay, like I just love everything about this. You guys know, like be honest with yourself, because I think honesty produces transformation. And I think if you're not honest with yourself, you'll always in the back of your mind have this here. You won't ever overcome it. So I think especially when it comes to body image, let's say, you know, I know summer's around the corner. So let's say you guys are getting dressed in your summer outfits and shorts and bikinis and things like that. I think number one, of course, like make sure your clothes fit. Don't wear clothes that are too small for you. You're never going to feel good or confident in that. So that's a very practical tip. But number two, if you are, you know, putting these things on and you realize like, I don't feel confident at the pool and I want to feel confident. And then I would say practically look at your life. How is your water and your sleep? And then how's your training and your nutrition? Is your nutrition on point? Because here's the thing. Sometimes you have to experience the pain of not being where you want to be. And that pain has to be more than the pain of you taking the action it takes to get that result and to make progress. I hope that made sense. But sometimes you have to experience the pain of, I don't like the way that I'm looking and feeling and performing, in order to choose the pain of something like being consistent on a nutrition program. So maybe you enjoy freedom. You enjoy eating what you want, when you want, eating pretty healthy, and you don't want to have to, you know, pay attention to your nutrition in a very focused kind of way, maybe in tracking macros or something. But when the pain of not feeling and performing and looking the way that you know that you can look or would like to look, when that's too much, you're going to choose the pain of being on a nutrition program, which is really only the pain in the beginning. Once you really get into the habit of being on your nutrition program and you're feeling better, looking better, you're seeing progress, you're going to be like, this is amazing. Like, why was I such a brat about this? And why didn't I do this sooner? So kind of went a little longer than I planned on this point, but hopefully you guys can start to be more self-aware. You can hang up the phone, start to speak some positive affirmations of yourself, and then be practical about making progress and improvements in ways that you know would help you to step into your higher self. Now, episode 4, this one was about taking radical responsibility over resolutions. Now, this one was posted at the beginning of the year. That's why it was, talking about resolutions. But I think, this is applicable no matter where we are at in the year, because people always say, something really general, like a general statement of, oh, I'm just going to learn this, or I need to do this. And they're very general about this resolution that they have for their life. And my tip and my advice that I want to share with you guys is just to take radical responsibility in where you are falling short of your highest self. Like if you were to take a piece of paper and on one side you write highest self, and on the other side, you write not in alignment with my highest self. And then you write down all of the actions that you take every single day. And maybe it's just all the actions that you took yesterday. Okay. And maybe just look at yesterday. And then after you do that, see if you can look at like the last week to really give yourself a good idea, because maybe Monday through Friday, you're crushing it, you're killing it. And then maybe you are your lowest self for like 2 days in a row on the weekend. That's a big deal. And that's something to really look at. So by looking at this list, you can see what actions and what daily habits are important for you to pay more attention to even get better at. And then you can also look at the actions that are holding you back from fully stepping into this new version of yourself that you really seek to be. Also, when you're setting these goals, just make sure to be very specific about what is the daily action you need to take in order to reach this goal. So it's great to have goals for the year, for the next 6 months, for the month, and for the week. I love setting goals for all those things. But if you don't know what you need to do today, it's like you are doing shooting practice with a gun and you have no target. You have no idea where the target is. You need to know what your target is. You need to know what your target is on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. So really break that down. But that first step is really taking that radical responsibility of what's holding you back from stepping into your higher self. Number 5, which aligns with episode 5 of the Evolve with Emily show, the question was posed, how will you promise to live life differently? And I'm not going to lie, this was a very heavy and deep podcast. It was really focused and centered around loss and grief. And this was the time in my life where I lost one of my best guy friends, and it was a very difficult loss for me. It was, he was very young. It was very unexpected. It was very tragic. It was just so left field. And the question that I posed is, how will you live life differently? So for everybody listening right now who has lost somebody, maybe you are currently going through that grief. And guys, this could be a loss in the sense of death. Like maybe you're experiencing death. It could just be loss of an identity, loss of a relationship, loss of a business, right? And rather than it just being a loss, it could just be a loss in which we wouldn't really have gained much from it. We would just have gained pain. Instead of living life that way, why don't you choose, how can I live life differently as a result of this? So if you are experiencing loss, what I did for me is I thought about all of the most beautiful and amazing attributes of this person that is no longer here on earth with me. And I just thought about them. They made me so happy. Like one of the things I always share is that he was always that friend that he genuinely listened to you. And when you were speaking about something that really made you excited, that you were working really hard on, and that, was a passion of yours, or just something exciting in your life, even something small, he would look at you and just say, yes, like that's incredible, more of that. And he would really celebrate that for you. I remember there were some times where he would just ask, like, how's your podcast going? And I would share something, and he was almost more excited about it than I was for me, because he was just such an encourager. He always championed his friends. So when I was thinking about how I wanted to promise to live my life differently, that's one of the attributes that I promised to carry along. And I kind of see it as like his spirit gets to always live if I will embody some of those incredible attributes about him, if I will embody that throughout my life. And really choosing to have this position on loss and on grief really turned something really, really painful into something really beautiful, and something that I really believe is just a natural part of the human experience. in the human experience, we are going to experience loss, and it hurts and it's painful. And this doesn't take away from that. There is time and there is a place for you to experience all of the loss, the grief, the heartache, the pain that comes with these things. And it's, feel all of those things, feel all of it, because you have to feel it in order to process through it. But if you want to put a positive spin on these things, if you want to feel like you gained something more out of these things besides pain, loss, and heartache, you can turn it around by asking yourself this question: how will you promise to live life differently? If you will choose to see this as a lesson learned, if you will choose to see this with immense gratitude for what you had while you had it, it can be something beautiful. And the challenge here, guys, is when you lose something in life that in the end ended really badly and maybe in a really sour type of way. It's really difficult to look back at those things with gratitude. Maybe I've talked to people who have lost business deals from people that completely just screwed them out of a business deal, right? Or maybe this happened in relationship. And oftentimes the natural instinct is to just look at the last part of it and say, oh my gosh, it was so bad and so hurtful and I didn't deserve that. And why did this happen? And you focus on the bad, almost forgetting about all of the good moments. And you did have good moments. And so for me, one thing that I've really tried to do is look back with gratitude, and I just choose. I choose to focus on the good moments. I choose to remember the beautiful moments, and I don't allow the negative or the bad things that happen to take away from the moments that were real, the moments that were good, and what I do as well is I learn from the bad or the hard or the negative, or if I did experience things I didn't deserve, right? I look into those things too, and I chalk those up as lessons learned, and I really make sure that I learn my lesson there as much as humanly possible. But I don't focus there, because if you focus there, then it's just all bad. And I think that we always have an option in life of which perspective we're choosing to take. I simply choose to take the good perspective. I simply choose to take the lessons learned perspective. Episode 6 was 27 lessons that I learned by age 27. So this was my 27th birthday, and I shared a bunch of lessons, but the one that I want to share from episode 6 is that it's all about the journey, guys. Life in general is literally all about the journey, and you've got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy it, because if you're always focused on the destination, then you're always focused on this 1%, 2% of life. And how sad would it be for you to live most of your life not enjoying it? You're doing the hard work and you're complaining about it. You are not living in gratitude. You are saying, oh my gosh, I have to do this and I have to do that. And you're only enjoying the moment when it comes to this goal, this achievement, this life checkpoint, so to speak. You're only enjoying that moment. And then guess what? It all starts over again. It's like when you're in high school and you just can't wait to graduate high school, and you graduate high school. Okay. And now you go to college and you got accepted, and now that whole journey starts, and then you're looking forward to graduation and you graduate, and then what? Okay. And then people usually go and get married, and they're like, okay, I'm married, and now what? And it's like this constant battle of highs and lows if you don't have the perspective of really understanding that most of life is spent in the journey. So you got to find a way to enjoy it. And guys, not all of life is enjoyable. We go through difficult seasons, and we go through hardships, and we go through times where it's really difficult to find that joy in the moment. And I think the one thing that has really helped me in some of the just the hardest seasons of my life is gratitude. And it seems really simple, but man, guys, I have practiced gratitude in my life when I'm just flooding tears from my eyes, when I'm sitting on my kitchen floor, just crying, heartbroken, lost, confused, purposeless, alone, isolated, just so discouraged, in such a difficult spot. And I'll sit there, and with tears falling down my eyes, I will say, I am so thankful for this. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for this, right? And I go through these things, and I get myself into the feeling of what it would feel like to not have these things. Because the truth is, maybe I'm heartbroken and I'm lost and I'm going through a hard season in certain areas of my life, maybe in a lot of areas of my life. But the truth is, man, if I didn't have these other things, if I didn't experience these other things, I would be so heartbroken not to have those. So let me focus on this and let me actually have real, true gratitude for these things. So if you are in that hard season, if you are saying, Emily, it's hard to enjoy the journey when I'm overworked, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I have all these things coming against me. Maybe it's, I talk to moms that are like single moms, they're single parenting and their ex is taking them to court and they're working multiple jobs and trying to handle the kids and also have time for themselves, right? Even just talking about that, like it's so much. And I understand that, but you've got to find a way. And this is for you to answer, not for me to know. I don't know because I'm not in your situation. You have to find a way to practice gratitude. And all you have to do is put one foot in front of the other. If you'll simply left foot, right foot, and then look down and ask yourself, was it really that hard? Was that single left foot and right foot, was it that hard? Truth is, it really wasn't. No matter how hard things are, you can do another left foot, right foot. And literally, if you have to break down every single day to that left foot, right foot, just keep doing it. Keep doing it over and over again. And you will take steps further and further away from that pain and that heartache. You will learn, you will grow, and you're taking steps towards a new season, which just by the way, in case you didn't know, seasons can change in the snap of a finger. I was recently at church and this couple had shared how they met and they shared how they both were going through such difficult seasons of life. And within a span of a year, they met each other. They realized that their person was each other. Like they just knew. They got married and they started a family. And they were like, so at the beginning of the year, had you told me that I would be married and, pregnant with my first child, I would have laughed at you. And I would have like just said that there's no way that could be true for me in my life. And yet they're like, now, like words don't describe the gratitude that we feel for how radically different our lives are. So I just wanted to share that and pass that along because I feel like there's probably someone listening that feels like the season that they're in is never going to end. I promise every season comes to a close. So please be encouraged. You never know if tomorrow is the day that you get your breakthrough that starts to really change things for you. And sometimes it's not a big breakthrough. Sometimes it's not this big opportunity or big moment. Sometimes it's not even noticeable. Sometimes it's all these little things that add up day by day. And then a few months down the road, you look back and you're like, when did things change? Like, when did things start to lighten? I feel like my load has gotten so much lighter. And so just know that it's not always this big thing, and know that seasons can change in the snap of a finger. Number 7 from episode 7 is the part 2 of 27 lessons by 27. And the lesson I want to share from this episode, which had a lot of lessons in it, is just this. It's very simple. When pressure arises, stop resisting. So notice in your life when you start to feel pressure. Pressure doesn't feel good. Pressure isn't something that you're going to like jump up and down at and be like, yeah, pressure's here, guys. I'm about to be made into a diamond because pressure makes diamonds. No, when you initially start to experience pressure, you're going to feel so much resistance and so much, just resistance towards why you're feeling pressure. But what I really want you to do, guys, is to get really curious. When you start to experience pressure, you're going to have that knee-jerk reaction of resistance and not enjoying it. And maybe it's going to feel heavy or overwhelming to you. Stop. Get really, really present. Do some of your daily practices that help you to be present in your life. And then start to ask good questions. Where is this pressure coming from? Is it external or is it internal? Is it something I can control? Is it something that is out of my control? The answers to these questions will help you to better navigate and to better walk out whatever it is that you're experiencing. And then the next thing I want to encourage you to do is to lean in to the pressure. I get a tangible experience of this when I practice the cold plunge on a daily basis, because when you get in the cold, your body goes into this fight or flight response right away. And your body tells you like to freak out and to get out because it's freezing and it's too much. And if you listen to that, you'll get out and you won't get the benefit of what that experience has for you. And I find that this really applies in life as well. So in the cold, when you actually, rather than fight and resist, when you learn to breathe and get still and present, and you actually surrender to the uncomfortable feeling, to the pressure, so to speak, then you're able to enter this moment of stillness, and you're able to get all the benefits out of what cold plunging really does. And you're able to really enjoy it, but you could only enjoy it by leaning in, not by resisting or, getting out of it. So I encourage you in life, guys, think about the same thing. When you're experiencing this pressure, even if it's financial pressure, sometimes you experience pressure. And I would say probably most of the time you experience pressure in order to create a change within you. Maybe without that pressure, you would never decide to create a budget for yourself. And maybe without that budget for yourself, you would never know where your money's going, and you'd never be able to really make some headway in your savings or in your investments or on a ton of bills and debt that you're paying. You would just always stay in the same cycle, always living with that debt, always living with those bills. Or you would always think that you didn't have money to invest, but the truth is you just didn't know where it would go. So maybe some sort of financial hardship comes in your life because it's a lesson for you. And that lesson is saying, hey, I need you to know what's going on with your finances. I need you to create a budget. I need you to be more intentional about where you spend your money and what you're doing with it, because I actually have an increase that's coming for you later, and you won't be able to handle it if you don't have a good handle on your finances now, right? So with the perspective that all of life is for learning, you can start to look at these pressure situations and realize that they are here for your growth. So just keep that in mind. Episode 8 was mindset hacks to accomplish your biggest goals. And the things I want to share with you guys here, just the spark notes, are asking a few questions. So number 1, ask yourself, whose goal is this? And the reason that I ask this is because I've worked with, hundreds of clients at this point, or I guess thousands at this point over the last 10 years or so. And sometimes they come to me with goals, and by really asking some deeper questions about, where does this goal come from? How does this goal align with the truest part of who you are? How does it align with your core values and your purpose and your character? And we really get into these questions. We start to often realize that the answers reflect that it was never their goal in the first place. So some people are struggling to reach their goals in life because it's actually not truly aligned with them, and it's not aligned with their core values. So there's this internal struggle, there's this internal resistance that they're not even aware to, that's actually causing self-sabotage. So people wonder, why can I not do this? I should be able to white knuckle it, power through, just, get through this with all my might and strength. And it's guys, if you are fighting against the core of who you are and it's not in alignment with you, the truth is you may be able to still make it happen through the white knuckling and the power and the strength, but it's going to be so much harder, and it's really not going to flow. And oftentimes you won't be able to get it. So you really have to ask yourself, whose goal is this? Is this what society is telling me I should do? Is this what all the business gurus are telling me I should do to be on their path of success? Is it what my family has always told me I should do? Is it what I think I am based on the person that I have cultivated and created through my business, my accomplishments, my social media? Or is this thing truly aligned with my deep personal core values? I think in asking whose goal this is, it's really helpful to really know and identify what your core values are, because when you know what those are, you will know very clearly if this goal aligns with your core values or not. Now, the second question I would ask is, what is my why? So ask yourself, what is my reason for doing this? This could be something really simple, like let's say that you are going after some fitness goals and you were tracking your nutrition, and every single time you were failing to track your macros, and you're like, why am I not able to track my macros? Why am I failing at this? Really ask yourself, what is your reason why you're going to track your macros? And maybe you just think because I'm training and I know I should be consistent with my food. Here's the thing, that's not a very strong why. It's not a why that is compelling enough for you to become in alignment with what it is that you need to do in order to reach your goal. So in order to come into alignment, you really need that strong, compelling why. going back to the example earlier, we were talking about sometimes the pain of where you're at has to be more than the pain of you being dedicated towards the things that you don't want to do, like tracking your macros or being on your nutrition program. So maybe you get that to that point, and maybe you realize, I don't enjoy feeling self-conscious. I don't enjoy not being confident at the pool, around my family, in the mirror, by myself, right? Like maybe it's just you looking in the mirror and you want to feel confident and proud and athletic, or whatever it is that your personal goals are. Maybe you want to be, curvy, and you want to have that juicy booty, or whatever it is for you. I think it's important to know those things, because if your why is strong enough, for example, like that pain of like, I want to feel confident and I want to feel, proud of myself, and I want to feel good in my own skin. I want to perform well in the gym. If those are your reasons why, then chances are when you are making nutritional choices, you'll remember that why, and you'll remind yourself of that why. And you'll say, I'm doing it not just to keep track of my nutrition and to do a little bit better, to make some progress. I'm doing it because I actually love myself enough to do this thing that feels tedious, that feels like a lot of work in the moment. I love myself. And because I love myself, I want to reflect that in my actions, in my daily actions. I want my physique to reflect that, whatever it is that is true for you. So really identifying that why is very important. Number 9. So this one was about balancy. Oh Lord. Okay. We're getting to the end of the podcast, so bear with me. This episode was about balance, consistency, and setbacks. So the thing I want to share with you guys for today's episode is it is really important to identify what season you're in. Oftentimes I will refer to things as like a maintenance, a push season, and a recovery season, or a season when you kind of pull back a little bit. And I would say once you identify what season you're in, then you have to commit to it. And the reason I mention this is because I find that people are often in resistance of the season that they're actually in, or they're trying to be in a season that is not the one that they're currently in. A very easy example of this is like when a competitor, goes through competition season, and then after competition season, they're in their improvement season, which is what I call it, because you're always, that's where you actually make the improvements, is when you're not stepping on stage. But sometimes they will have these demands and expectations of themselves as if they were in competition season, yet they're in improvement season, right? Like they are upset that they have added a little bit of body weight and a little bit of, weight or body fat to their body. And I think that comes from this expectation of, okay, when I was in prep, I consistently had less weight on the scale and less fat on my body. So they develop this habit of always looking for that as a measure of progress. But when you're able to say, okay, I'm in improvement season, what is my why? What is my goals? And really identify these things. Then you can say, okay, my why is to recover metabolically, maybe hormonally, maybe just physically and mentally. And my goals are to add a little bit of muscle, which realistically comes with a little bit of fat, a little bit of body weight. So when you identify those targets, right, those are the targets that you're trying to hit. When you're in your improvement season, you can say, oh, I'm actually hitting all of the targets that I need to hit for the season that I'm in. So my upset, my frustration, it comes from wanting to be in a season that's already passed or in a season that is yet to come. So by knowing these targets, really identifying that season, you can commit to the season that you're fully in. And then when you have setbacks in life, and I'm going to shout out another podcast episode. It's titled Bounce Back. I really encourage you guys to listen to that. I might actually do a whole new episode on that because it's such a good episode. I want people to really identify this and get good at it. But what do you do when you have a setback? You have to really analyze this for yourself and ask yourself, what do I do when things are less than ideal? I also did a Monday message on this just recently, so check that out as well. We're shouting out all the episodes this time. And I think it's really important to identify that because oftentimes people are great at following their program and they're also great at not being on their program, right? They're like, okay, if I'm not on it, I'm not on it. And when I'm on, I'm on. But the real progress is going to come when you have a setback, right? When you have a bad moment and you don't allow that to turn into a bad day. Even in the sense of, let's say that you eat something off of your diet. A lot of people's natural instinct is just to be off for the rest of the day and they'll start tomorrow. The true power comes when instead of starting tomorrow, you start the exact next moment. So you literally get right back on your program. You get right back to your diet. You get your water in, you take your supplements, you really start taking those daily actions right now. So really get out of your head that you can start tomorrow, and definitely get out of your head that you can start Monday. It's kind of like there are these, rings on the ladder, so to speak. And when you're starting on Monday, you have a lot of growth. You have a lot of growth in order to build that bounce back, or to be able to, handle a setback in a productive manner. And then it goes from Monday to like, okay, I'll start tomorrow, right? But tomorrow, honestly, like never really comes. People might do really well in the morning, and by midday, they're feeling good. And by the afternoon, evening, they are doing the same things that they were doing the day before. They never really nip it in the butt. And I really believe it's because you have to start now. You have to get yourself into that sense of urgency to make a different decision right now today. It doesn't matter what you did the moment before. You have a new moment and a new opportunity to move forward in a way that is in alignment and consistent with your highest self and your goals. So do that, and also add accountability. That's another piece that I would add. Accountability is huge. And if you have somebody to be accountable to, whether that is a coach, a mentor, a friend, a training partner, or maybe it could be like a spiritual accountability partner, right? This could apply to any area of life. Have somebody to keep you accountable in this way, so that when you get a setback, you tell them immediately. You say, hey, I just had a setback and I'm really committing to getting back on it right now. Like right now I'm starting, I just ate a bunch of pizza, but I'm going to meal prep right now, and I'm going to eat, my next meal is going to be a healthy, prepared meal that is in alignment with my goals. And, telling that extra person just adds that extra layer of accountability. Now, episode 10, this one was about getting your gift out into the world. And the number one thing that I want to share with you guys from this episode is that we all have things that are holding us down from letting out our best self, from letting out the truest expressions of ourselves. And I think often people, they don't break past these things and they don't seek to remove these things because they think that it's all about them. And today I want to bring to your awareness that the gifts that were placed inside of you, yes, are you, and they're beautiful and they're true, but they're not just for you. They are attached to every single person that is attached to you. Think about every single person that you come into contact with on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. Every single person that you are attached to, that gift is also for them. And maybe they're not going to get, access to every part of you or every gift that you have. But when you're being the truest expression of yourself and the fullest expression of you is always out and always flourishing, that changes and shifts environments and atmospheres. And that is beautiful. But oftentimes people allow things to hold them back, whether it's a limiting belief, a limiting mindset, it's fear, scarcity, the lack mentality, and they choose not to work through these things because they're scared, or because it's hard work, or because they think that it's all about them. And so I'm here to remind you today, don't just do it for yourself, do it for everybody that's attached to you. If you have a family, do it for your children, do it for your spouse, do it for your family, do it for your puppy. I want to be the person that my dog thinks I am, right? Have you guys seen that quote or meme? That's my motivation for sure. No, truly though, guys, when I am working on some deep personal things, I do think about my podcast. I think about my listeners. I'm like, I am doing my best. That's one thing that I can always tell you guys is I truly am giving you guys my best. And I know I can always be better and I'll always improve, but I know that I'm always showing up as my best. However, if there comes something in my life that I identify is holding me back, I know I'm not giving you guys what I could give you. And I feel that I'm here to be the fullest expression of me. I think about my friends that died too soon. There's been so many of them. And it's like, I'm wasting my life. I am wasting this opportunity if I'm not being the fullest expression of me. like do it for you, do it for the people that don't have the opportunity anymore. Their life has already come and gone. Be the fullest expression of you. That way, when you are gone, people can always look back and say, man, one thing I can truly say about them is that they were fully themselves. And whether I agree or like, or, agree with the things that they do or say or how they are, or that's maybe not your cup of tea, people will be able to respect that. They will respect it, and it will actually empower them to do the same in their lives. So I want to encourage you today to remove the toxic things out of your life. This could be, oftentimes it is, your own toxic thinking. Oftentimes it's not other people or situations or environments. Oftentimes it's our toxic thinking that is holding us back. So identify what is toxic inside of your life. What are the things that are holding you back? What are some limiting beliefs? And hey, if you can't identify what's going on, gain self-awareness. You can search Evolve with Emily on any platform and then type in self-awareness, type in consciousness, and you should be able to find some episodes through those searches. But something that has really helped me with my self-awareness are things like reading books. Sometimes it's like holding a mirror up and you're like, wow, I actually do that. I didn't know that was not good or unhealthy or not serving myself. Therapy, coaching, mentorship, conversations with friends that I believe have a heightened level of self-awareness and consciousness, that are not scared to challenge my thoughts, my beliefs, my patterns, that are not scared to give me truth. All of these things have really helped me to become more self-aware. And then also just my personal faith and my personal spirituality and time alone with God and sitting with God and asking him questions and allowing him to highlight things to me that I need to work on, or to highlight things that are holding me back in different areas of my life. That personal relationship and personal one-on-one time with him has been really eye-opening and really crucial to my personal growth. So I hope that something from one of these episodes has helped you. I felt that this episode alone, you'd get a lot of value out of, but if there was one of those that was really speaking to you, then I encourage you to go back to that podcast episode. One, maybe it will be encouraging for you guys to see how I started and see, my first few episodes, because maybe it encourages you to take action on something that you've been wanting to do. But two, maybe it just gives you that depth that you need on that topic. So I want to encourage you guys today. This show is all about evolving into your best self. It's about optimizing your life, being the truest and fullest expression of you. So identify what areas of your life you're not optimizing your life, what areas of your life you're not being that best version of yourself. Make those changes. Be practical. Implement some new daily actions and things that you need to do in order to cultivate healthier and more optimal habits and start to live a better life simply by your daily action today. That's going to wrap up today's episode. Please let me know if you guys enjoyed today's solo episode. Sometimes I lack like the feedback or connection piece from you guys on this show. And I'm working really hard. I'm putting out a lot of content, and something that is like fuel to my gas tank, so to speak, is feedback, just conversations with you guys. It doesn't even have to be much, but message at Evolve with Emily podcast and let us know what your thoughts, your feedback are. Even if you just have a suggestion for the show, anything you guys want to share with me would be helpful. And it just it motivates me as I am alone in my podcast studio recording these, so I really value that connection and that conversation with you guys. That's going to wrap up today's show. If you enjoyed it, please do me a favor and rate and review the podcast. That's the number one way to help the show. Share it with a friend by texting it to them or sharing it on your stories. Tag the podcast page, and I will see you guys in the next episode of Evolve with Emily. Bye, guys.